Hello, fellow citizens, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Elfie, just a girly pop who's starting to figure out this Star Citizen thing. And today, I want to take you on a very special large operation to Hathor Mining Facilities. And I say it's special because this is my first time here, but it was also a 40-person joint operation, and I think that it went pretty successfully. Without spoiling the end, let's get into it. I started off the day in the Gargantua Space Industries Idris. We were all in the cargo bay grabbing all of the gear and the uniforms that we would need for the day. And it was important that we all had uniforms on because we were working with another organization. And while we wanted to have one big party, there's always those times where some people end up out of the party or you lose their marker. So we wanted them to know exactly what we would look like. And after we were all geared up, we headed over to the briefing room because there would be a lot to discuss. Since it was a joint operation, we would need to know exactly how to communicate using the SRS radio, which sites we needed to cover security for, and the mining operation itself. I won't make you sit through the whole 20-minute briefing, but I will show you some chunks of it that were essential for this mission and how we actually operate.
So today we're doing a Hathor run in conjunction with another organization, the Walkers. As we speak, they're conducting the reconnaissance of the two planets and the different sites. From what I'm hearing right now, it looks like we're going to be going to Aberdeen, and we're going to deploy roughly 200 kilometers away from the OLP there in support of another Idris that's going to be crewed up, actually going to the OLP. We're going to be separated into multiple discords. Therefore, the different elements are going to have to be onto SRS for me to communicate with you guys. Now, I'm going to be in charge of the cap ship stuff and the air support. Ground team will be led by Hauser. So in the event that something goes on with me, Hauser's going to have Isla step up, and then he'll transfer over to joint coordination between the other organizations.
Okay, so we'll be taking one of the PAF platforms on the surface. There's 3 of them, all of which that have a dish that need to be aligned in order to fire the laser that will allow us to then get the high-value resources for the other group. If any of you have read the ConOp through, you will see a visual representation of what the ground station looks like. Essentially, there's a number of buildings which are color-coded to the systems that we need. So we'll be deploying via 1x Valkyrie dropship. Most of the personnel will be seated in the drop seats. There'll be a few personnel that are utilizing the turrets. Ideally, pending numbers, I'd like to have the Valkyrie manned constantly to help us chew through the AI as much as possible, and we'll get to that once we start divvying out roles. When we land, we'll be prioritizing the buildings that are blue color-coded, because those will spawn blue keycards, which will allow us to then access the red buildings. Red buildings will spawn red keycards, and then we'll use those to access the main rooms inside of the actual dish facility. So there's a large building in the center with the big radar dish on top. Once inside there are 3 main rooms that we need to access with those red keycards, and each one of them will have a dish alignment blade that we will take out and insert into a control panel inside of that same building. Each time we insert those alignment blades, it'll spawn those worms that we have to kill, so be aware of that. We'll have a security team set up inside. Once all 3 blades are aligned, or inserted I should say, the dish will align and a battery room will open as well. We'll check that battery room to see whether or not there is a battery in there. If there is, we'll extract the battery with the rest of the team on the Valkyrie, and if need be, we will link it up with the rest of the other org and allow them to use the battery to actually fire the laser. So that is the gist of the ground operation for the initial part. How it's going to work is there'll be one team moving along on the ground as one large element, and then there'll be the team in the Valkyrie providing air support with the side wing-mounted guns, pending numbers. So we'll either have 2 or 3 of the Valkyrie, and then the remainder will be on the ground.
After Hauser was done explaining what the ground crew would be doing, some of the other leaders were there explaining the other divisions that would be deployed during this operation. I was assigned to the ground crew, so this was a pretty good overview of the duties that I would be responsible for today. One other thing to note, someone from one of my previous operations videos asked if these were just staged for this video. No. We actually do sit in the briefing room for a good 25 minutes before every large operation. And I think it's awesome that both Gargantua and the Walkers do this because it actually makes it so that everyone is on the same page, and it's good to get to know the group and how they operate before you're actually on the ground running. And before I knew it, Elfie the Explorer was ready for combat. Well, kind of. We were in the Valkyrie trying to get there, and then all of a sudden we started having these horrible sound glitches that have been going on since the 4.4 patch dropped, and we all pretty much crashed right before we got to the site. But once we all loaded back into the game, the sound was much better, and it was kind of funny because I got to watch everyone's flaps flop in the wind on the way there.
This Union, we're beginning our offset maneuver. We're Aberdeen. Cap, just keep doing general scans of the wtih sites. Copy, we acknowledge this hold here. Grizzly acknowledges.
And another thing to note, I've never actually been to Aberdeen except for when I went to jail, but you never actually see the outside. And I must say, this is probably the ugliest planet or moon or anything in the Star Citizen verse.
Grizzly conditions on the ground are dark and rainy. Watch yourself coming in.
Oh, hell yeah. Ground conditions are dark and rainy.
Better if it comes up. We're coming now.
We love dark and rainy.
Drop for Fine copies all.
And it was completely dark and rainy, but that didn't stop the ground crew.
Viking, put us down just to the right of that salvation. If you can see it there. Seen in the open area between that and the first building.
Contacts on the right-hand side.
On the deck, Viking.
Dismount.
It was so dark that I actually had no idea where we were going, and I could barely see the buildings at this point. I kind of listened to the briefing, so I had an idea that we were going to be hopping from building to building, blue buildings, red buildings, and I was just waiting for Hauser to call out where we were going and follow his lead.
Think about it.
Viking, Roberta, this is Viking all out. Go and lift. Contacts to 330 from the ship. Immediate to the right at a 3/4. Rudder, 3 to the right. Contacts beginning Roger.
At this point, we all dismounted from the Valkyrie and we were all gathered around chutes. We were ordered to go find the key cards, and so we started with this building here. I didn't know where any of the key cards were because I've never seen any of this before, but I figured there might be a couple of guys to shoot or some loot to get. And of course I was right. There were loot boxes in practically every building and actually a ton of things to loot.
Alright, we're exiting the building on the 060 side where Lily and Hauser is. We're moving bearing 030 once we get out from there. We're moving to the building that says Hathor on the roof.
This call out made me happy because we recently had a navigation training and I actually knew what he was talking about. The numbers at the top of your screen when you wear a helmet, not just for decoration.
Multiple contacts in this building in front of us here. Good cover. As you come around this corner, get covered.
Dogs. I just hear them, I don't see them.
I heard them as well, but I don't see them either.
I'm in the building. Building's clear. And that, my friends, is how you clear a building. Just keep pushing forward and throw your body at them. There's plenty of friends behind you in case you die. But I will say that it was pretty strange that we never actually saw the dogs that we kept hearing the sounds for.
had an Asgard come in at extreme range, probably 30 or so from the site, and then pop back into
210 to the next building here on this side of this wall once we're done.
Okay, I got the card.
Alright, so I got me.
The boys were able to do the jump puzzle to get the key card, and I was able to find some loot. And I will say, the outfits on some of these NPCs are pretty nice. And again, still weird dog sounds with no dogs.
Grizzly, you can sing in your last order.
Contact right, thanks.
There is a Polaris corpse down here on the ground right next to the station.
It's down. Keep shoving the left on the roof.
During some moments like these, moving from building to building, it was a little bit chaotic. Lots of shooting, lots of callouts, radio and Discord, a lot to handle. But it was all still in control.
Moving into this building is here, right on Hathor.
He's down. Keep moving.
Another blue keycard printer here, I'm getting it.
We cleared out a few more buildings, got more key cards, maybe got a blade, I don't know. I was mostly looting and shooting and clearing out the buildings, which I had a ton of fun doing.
Union, walkers are hitting the orbital station now. Copy. Then we'll continue, or we'll expedite, I should say. Over.
Once we got this call, a bunch of us ended up crashing due to these horrific sound bugs in that building, and then we had to really book it to the Valkyrie so that we could go back to the bunker to provide ground cover for the walkers while they tried to mine the Karenite out of the hole. And with 0 casualties from the ground crew, I would say that this part of the operation was 100% a success. Hauser did a fantastic job leading the ground team, and we were off to the bunker to go to the borehole. What I will say is I'm probably going to come back here to loot some more at some point.
Viking, this is Grizzly. What's that bunker look like? Grizzly, this is Viking. We've got it. It's on the nose here.
The bunker was really cool. I don't know what I was expecting, but it seemed pretty legit. And I'm not sure how we got here, if it was navigation or a jump, but we found it.
It is Viking. Stay nearby and prepare.
Do not press anything, just hold this position. Hold security on the main entrance, please, and then hold security upstairs.
After clearing out the bunker, I found this big giant button that I'm pretty sure is to shoot the laser to open up the hole for mining. But we were told to just hold down the place until the walkers got here. I don't exactly know what the strat was, because I feel like a ship could definitely just come down and shoot these guys, but it did seem a little bit nicer outside than it did inside of the bunker. And after running around inside, outside, it was finally nice to see the walkers of Sigma finally landing and getting ready to go mine some pure Karenite. And with so many blue names coming out of the ship, around the bunker, in the sky, it was really nice to see that the party actually worked and we were able to successfully get 40 of us in one party at once. I don't know about you guys, but I've been having issues with people not getting party invites, getting kicked out of the party, and just overall it's been a mess. So the fact that all of this worked was incredible. Seeing all of the preparation and 40 people coming together to actually make this thing work was really quite the experience. It was also pretty cool to come face to face with the guys who were protecting us in the air from our org and theirs.
Last geo clear.
After the walkers were done, it was our time to shine and to go mine the rest of whatever the heck was down this hole. Everything was great except for the fact I haven't used a geo for months since it's been broken. But I thought that these were a little less powerful than they are today. I was just minding my business, tapping away, trying to get at least what little green I could out of this thing, until tragedy struck. Oh my god.
On the rock low, I'm down. Down.
I'm also down. What happened?
Turns out, our other friend also didn't know about low mode and high mode. Once someone was set down to rescue us, we were cooking. Literally. It was actually way too hot in this cave, and we ended up having to go outside to cool off way too often. And what we learned is that we probably should have had a hazard suit or a Pembroke suit. But it's okay, because we ended up getting a ton of these rocks and there were no more casualties. We were pros at this. And I don't know how much any of this was actually worth, but the org is still paying me to be here regardless. probably butchering these names, but I got a ton of Saldinium, Karenite, and Jacklium. But then, some of the guys who were at the other site were getting attacked, and so we were recalled to return to base.
Getting off there. As soon as they're off, go ahead
you see the ramp
get our
that I'm
golem
on?
element, and then
Oh,
RTB
yeah,
to
see,
the
thank-
address. Viking and Voodoo, once you guys are aboard, I want everyone to re-equip. We're going to spot launch all of our fighters and bombers.
We were going to load up in all of the fighters on the Idris and go actually attack back, but it turns out the walkers had to jump out before we could get there. So, that brings us to the end of a very successful mission. We made it back to the Idris, and we were all in the briefing room for a debrief to talk about how the mission went.
Now, in that process, we took out several groups of fighters, and we successfully engaged and disengaged from the cap ship. So everything went pretty well there. Hopefully, everyone can see the combination of all of our efforts over the last few weeks. Between the dogfight training, the communications, the cave mining, and then the navigation and dropship stuff. This was the culmination of all of those different elements. And utilizing SRS allowed us to do it in conjunction with multiple other groups. And for the most part, it looks like that went pretty smooth.
What a successful day in the verse. With a 40-person party, a lot could go wrong. And maybe there were a few computer crashes due to the sound bugs, but that's about it. Everything else was as smooth as butter. If you are interested in participating in large operations like this, be sure to check out the Discord in the description down below. If you like new player Star Citizen content where you get to see the verse through a new set of eyes, be sure to like and subscribe to support the channel. I post new videos twice a week, and I hope to see you next time. Until then, Elfie out.